This moment marks the beginning of a turning point when a simple naval route and shifting positions created uncertainty that later shaped one of history's most debated events. Inside communication rooms like this, early signals and partial data shaped critical interpretations, showing how limited technology influenced decisions during the Gulf of Tonkin timeline. A lone naval silhouette on calm waters reveals how routine operations near the Gulf gradually became part of a much larger and controversial historical narrative. Radar screens in 1964 often produced unclear readings, and these subtle blips later played a significant role in forming the initial reports surrounding the incident. Declassified documents show how early reports were formed, revealing inconsistencies and raising questions about what information was truly confirmed at the time. Storm conditions around the Gulf created difficult visibility, influencing reports and contributing to confusion about what was actually happening on the water that night. Briefing rooms like this shaped the early interpretation of events, where incomplete data was discussed and transformed into assessments with lasting historical impact. Calm night waters can be deceptive, and in the Tonkin Gulf, darkness and distance made it challenging to distinguish real activity from natural movement. The dates August 2nd and 4th became central to the story, representing moments when early signals suggested activity that later proved difficult to verify. Communication equipment from the era often captured unclear signals, allowing misinterpretations that later influenced major decisions surrounding the Gulf incident. Dim lights on a ship revealed the quiet environment where early observations were made, shaping reports that would be re-examined decades later. Archived files highlight how initial assessments emerged from limited information, demonstrating how uncertainty can shape narratives that persist for generations. Analog screens created an atmosphere of uncertainty as operators interpreted fluctuating patterns that were later questioned by analysts reviewing the event. Even small details on a ship during that night illustrate how weather and environment affected visibility, contributing to unclear observations recorded in early reports. Navigational tools show how close operations were to coastal areas, raising questions about interpretation, intent, and the accuracy of early situational assessments. Storm clouds symbolized the broader uncertainty of the moment, as atmospheric conditions blurred the line between verified action and misread environmental signals. Teletype messages transmitted urgent information, yet some reports were later found to be contradictory, highlighting the limits of communication during the period. Simple markers on a map represent movements that were later interpreted in multiple ways, illustrating how perspective shapes the understanding of historical events. A calm dawn over the Gulf contrasts with the tension that developed from the previous night's unclear signals, setting the stage for long-lasting historical debate. Reports labeled unconfirmed signals reflect how early analysts documented uncertainties, acknowledging that available information was often incomplete or ambiguous. Sonar displays offered limited clarity, and many readings from that night were later reconsidered as analysts compared them with environmental factors. Briefing charts reveal how officials interpreted available data, forming conclusions that played a central role in shaping the narrative surrounding the incident.
This position as indicated here.
Dark waves and shifting winds created conditions where natural movement could easily be misread, contributing to the confusion documented in later analyses. Archived drawers contain reports showing how interpretations evolved, exposing gaps between initial assumptions and later verified information. Highlighted text in scanned documents shows how specific lines shaped official understanding, even when later evaluations raised questions about accuracy. Rain and rough seas shaped early observations, making it difficult to determine whether detected signals reflected real activity or environmental interference. A flickering lamp symbolizes the uncertainty of analysts reviewing partial information, trying to piece together what actually happened during the reported events. Notes in old logbooks show how observers documented conditions, offering insight into the challenges they faced in interpreting limited nighttime visibility. Strategic boards illustrate how decision-makers visualized the situation, forming assessments that influenced broader actions despite ongoing informational gaps. Aerial perspectives show how vast the Gulf region is, emphasizing how distance and weather complicated attempts to verify activity during the incident. The ticking clock reflects how quickly initial conclusions were drawn, shaping responses before analysts had time to fully examine the available information. Fading ink in old logs symbolizes how memory and interpretation evolve, revealing how later reviews challenged long-held assumptions about the event. Moonlit water represents the quiet environment of the night, contrasting with the uncertainty created by unclear radar and communication signals. Film reels preserve early statements in reports, allowing modern researchers to revisit the narrative and compare it with later declassified findings. Redacted lines in documents show how much information was obscured for decades, contributing to ongoing debate about what truly happened in the Gulf of Tonkin.